we're real pleased to welcome back into the program Darin Myers, who is the facilitator for TAB CSRA.com. And my right shoulder is hurting me. You know why?
You got a monkey on it?
I got a monkey on my back. Can you help?
Well, I'm glad I taught you that since you recognize you have a monkey. Yeah, Neil, I appreciate that. This is an article that I had presented at one of our tab boards the other day, several months ago, in fact. I used this out at the plant as well, but it's from a Harvard Business Review in the mid-'70s. It's actually, if you read it, it's the most reprinted Harvard Business Reviews out there. And I think it's because everyone can relate to this. And it's a very simple read. I would certainly encourage any of your readers and listeners to go out and take a look at it, because I think it really applies to most of us. But it happens to each and every one of us every day, and I just don't think people recognize when monkeys get put on their back, and which then translates to what I hear all the time from business owners is, I'm too busy, I got too much going on. And I think a lot of times it's, your ability to manage your email and how you can do all the various other things that are distracting you. But I think people need to recognize when a monkey gets put on their back, and really what they can do about it.
Interesting. You mentioned the TAB group, and we have someone who's a service provider, and it's I think a second or third generation family business, and they've been doing things a certain way, and he's moving into the future. He's a nice guy, and everybody wants his ear.
Right.
But everybody can't have his ear.
Well, look, and it even talks about this in the article, but I think most bosses would like to say, or business owners, hey, I have an open door policy.
Sure.
Right?
Come on, see me.
Nobody dislikes to either say or hear, hey, I can go in and talk to the head person at any time. And this individual had a scenario where he had a lot of people come to his office right at the beginning of the day.
They like good coffee.
And good coffee and good discussion. But what was happening in those conversations was things were getting transferred from the person that really should have owned the task and getting it transferred to the wrong person, in this case, the owner of the business. And it was becoming overwhelmed. And then he became the bottleneck, and everybody was waiting on his decision. And that's the beauty of this, who's got the monkey on the back, is it the right person, so on and so forth. It's very powerful, and it resonated with people. Now we start out almost all of our TAB board members, and we talk about the TAB, or the monkey. And this gentleman is the fact that you recognize when somebody comes in and puts a monkey on your back, you're at least 80% of the way of maybe having some victory there, because most people don't recognize when a monkey gets put on their back.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm a parent of an 8-year-old, and if I'm not careful, I can enable. And it's almost enabling your employees in a way. If you say, just bring it to me, I'm not sure you're really teaching your team.
Right. Well, look, this should be a real scenario. Owner, boss, supervisor, what have you, is walking down the hallway and they see somebody coming and saying, hey, I need to talk to you about something. I got this issue, blah, blah, blah. Let's just stop there for a moment. That's a great discussion.
Right.
Employee is trying to inform boss, owner, supervisor of an issue that they're running, they're having. Nothing's going wrong at this point. In fact, it's good communication. But fast forward now, let's go into the conversation further in another 2 or 3 minutes, and all of a sudden the issue goes to, well, I really appreciate you bringing that up. I need to head off to this meeting. I really appreciate you talking to me about it. Let me think about it, and I'll get back to you.
Right.
Now let's stop right there. That's where the derailment. The boss has done great of listening. The employee's done great by communicating. There's been good dialogue. But the boss, in this case, put the monkey on their back by saying, I really appreciate you telling me about this. Let me think about it, and I'll get back to you.
And that makes the
all of a
employee
sudden
come back to the
right
employer.
now, all of a sudden, the monkey got put on the boss's back by the boss himself. Now, I'm not saying the boss should never have monkeys on their back. In fact, they should. It just should be the right monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
And that example I gave or described there is real life every day.
Mm-hmm.
And just back to the comment about one of our peers on our tab board, you know, he likes the fact that his employees or his supervisors come in and chat with him in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But he recognized all too often that simple example I just gave you happened to him all the time, and it completely distracted him, derailed him, getting him out of the role that he should be in.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you got two employees, the employee and the owner or the supervisor or the boss now out of role, because the employee's now sitting waiting on the boss to do their role.
But the boss is juggling.
Right. And so that happens all the time. And I just don't think people recognize it. That's why it's such a good article. It's such a good concept. And it's one that right up there with usage of email and letting email distract you. Our time management is something that most of my members on my board say, boy, I wish I had better time management. Email's typically a good culprit of that. But this monkey concept is something that's high on the list too, that I wanted to coach my members of recognizing when a monkey was getting put on their back. And sometimes they're doing it to themselves.
Why can't we as employers trust employees and delegate? What is it that makes it difficult?
Well, one, I don't even think you recognize you're doing it to yourself. I mean, the example of that hallway conversation, you know, I would even say the boss was doing good. I really appreciate you talking to me about it. Hey, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Instead of saying that, what if he said, hey, do you have further suggestions? Do you have ideas? Do you have recommendations? Or, hey, I got to run. I'd like to sit back and maybe chat with you and hear your thoughts further. I don't think that would have been a bad approach, again, depending upon the issue. If it was somewhat lower priority, the boss could have said, hey, I really appreciate you letting me know. I think I can support you in whichever way you go here. That could have been an option to it as well. But the way he said it in a very polite, hey, I appreciate you telling me. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you. He threw that monkey right on his back himself. The employee didn't do it. But what will happen then is that becomes a habit. And then all of a sudden you're somewhat creating a monster, in this case a monkey, culture, that you're teaching your employees, hey, if I got an issue, I'll go talk to my boss and he or she may tell me what to do at some point.
A fixer.
And then all of a sudden you don't have just one inappropriate monkey in your back. You got a whole ton of them.
Wow.
And I think that's what happens to a lot of employers.
You get bogged
whatever
down.
level you're at, whether you're
Right.
the supervisor, whether you're a manager, a owner, what have you, it happens.
Finally, our colleague on the board, how did he get the monkey off of his back, and how has his business and his personal life improved?
Well, I mean, he'll tell you. He sort of likes to have fun with it. First thing he did is he made his subordinates go read this article. Because, as I say, likely they're getting monkeys put on their back from people underneath them. And so it's probably more of an organizational cultural thing. So first thing he went and did is educated his people of, hey, when I talk about a monkey being on my back, this is essentially, let's try to make sure we're staying within role as we converse and we talk about issues of the day. So, but I think from that, he's recognized he's taken a lot of monkeys off his back, and he claims that it's really helped with his management skills and time management, allowing him to focus on what he needs to focus on.
And his day seems to be a little shorter, and life at home's better.
Indeed. Absolutely. You're not worrying about things that you got bogged down on. And I would also, say that the employee, I believe, is probably more satisfied as well, Because you're not necessarily now waiting on the boss. You need a decision made. It got put on the monkey's on the wrong back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's probably an employee satisfaction perspective here that we could probably go down as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, in other words, I think it can be a win-win-win when everybody stays within role.
Mm-hmm.
And having good communications is fine. In fact, I would emphasize phenomenal communications with an organization. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that the monkey stays on the right back.
And again, that's the Harvard Business Review, printed in 1974, this time of the year, 1974, almost 50 years, and it's stood the test of time.
Yeah,
It's about delegating. And if you've got the monkey on your back, may I suggest a zookeeper? An excellent one.
Well, hey, that's great. I'm willing to volunteer to be the zookeeper. But, that is... It's delegation and time management is critical for all business owners. And to your point, as a business coach, I would love to sit down and be somebody's zookeeper.
Yeah.
I love it.
And tabcsra.com would be the website to learn more and get in touch with Darin if you wanted to just have a sit down and chat and try to get that monkey off your back.
Right.
And,
we'll keep the right monkeys on your back
Yeah.
and take the wrong ones off.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you.
Appreciate you.